Let's rank some outfielders and fire up the Dropometer next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5. As always, make sure to follow and stream us on Spotify. Today is Wednesday, August 11th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And those outfielders, let's talk about them. Anthony Santander had a double dong on Tuesday. He's got 3 homers over his last 2 games, 47% rostered. Rafael Ortega is batting over 400 in 25 second-half games. He's 40% rostered. And Lorenzo Cain hit his 4th homer of the season. Since returning from the IL, 11 games, he's batting 341. He's also got 3 steals, 25% rostered. Scott, how would you rank those 3? Santander, Rafael Ortega, Lorenzo Cain.
I think Cain's definitely number 1. He still looks like good old Lorenzo Cain in terms of how little he's striking out. You know, the fact he's already stolen 3 bases in 11 games after coming back from a leg injury, a guy in his mid-30s. I think that's a very encouraging sign. Plus, the Brewers are still playing him every day. They have a lot of outfield options, but mostly every day. He's had a couple of off days during that stretch, but more regularly than a lot of their outfielders. So Lorenzo Cain's number 1 for me. I think he'll be of help in batting average and stolen bases. Number 2, I would say is I'm going to take a shot on Rafael Ortega. Don't have a lot of confidence. 30-year-old, spent most of his career in the minors. Power's only come around recently, but he has hit for average. He has stolen some bases in the past. So I think there's probably more upside there than for Anthony Santander, who looked great last year. The strikeout rate was much lower. He was putting the ball in the air a ton, which was adding up to more home runs than we've seen from him. So 3 home runs in 2 games, not really moving the needle yet for me for Anthony Santander.
It's a small sample size. You mentioned what he did last year. Santander had an 890 OPS in the shortened 2020 season. But so far in August, only 7 games. Strikeout rate is way down. The fly ball rate is way up. That will play in Camden Yards. Let's see where he goes from here. Whoa there. What happened? Where did this come from? Griffin Jax against the White Sox on Tuesday. 6 innings, 3 runs, 10 strikeouts. He had 14 swinging strikes on 83 pitches, only 6% rostered. Scott, anything to see here with Griffin Jax?
Look, I don't think that 6% roster rate needs to be much higher. He's a 26-year-old whose numbers in the minors aren't that impressive. They're okay this year, 3.32 ERA, 1.18 WHIP, but less than a strikeout per inning. It is notable that he had the 14 swinging strikes in this start. If you go back 3 starts, he had, I believe, 16 swinging strikes in that game. So he's had a couple games now in his last 4. All of them have been good, by the way, but 2 good in that he's gotten a lot of swings and misses, which, if he did that regularly, I'd be a little more excited about Griffin Jax. Let's put him on the scout team, see where he goes from here. But I think it's unlikely he becomes an impact contributor.
Let's fire up the Dropometer for some formerly big names who are not really performing at this moment. And 1, as usual, you want to hold on to this guy. 10, you can drop him in every league. Let's start off with Matt Chapman, who's batting 156 in the second half with a 42% strikeout rate. He's still 87% rostered.
Yeah, the strikeout rate ballooning. I mean, it hasn't been good all year, but it only seems to be getting worse. So I'd go 8 on Matt Chapman and hope for better next year when has had more time to recover from that hip surgery.
Casey Mize at the Orioles, 4 1/3 innings, 4 runs allowed, velocity down on all 5 of his pitches, over 1 mile per hour. He has allowed 4 runs in 3 of his last 4 starts. Could be starting to wear down a little bit here, Scott. He's still 86% rostered. Casey Mize.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty nervous about him. I think I'd go 8 for him also. The Tigers tried to pull back on his innings around the All-Star break and have let him go deeper again, but it does look like he may be wearing down. And the underlying numbers have been suspicious all year, as consistent as Casey Mize has been. So it might be time to let him go.
Michael Conforto. Come on, man. We've been rooting for you all year. We've been saying buy low on Michael Conforto. 43 games since returning from the IL back in June. He's batting 175 with a 650 OPS. He is down to 73% rostered. Where is he on the Dropometer?
I mean, we've been talking about him as a buy low guy all year. the underlying numbers, the strikeout rate, hard hit rate, average exit velocity, even average launch angle, they all look very typical for Michael Conforto. So it's hard to figure out what's going on with him, but it's mid-August now and he's not making any progress. So I will go 7 on the dropometer for Michael Conforto. The only reason it's not higher is because I'm accounting for those 5 outfielder leagues.
For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, your smart speakers, or anywhere else podcasts are found. And thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. If you enjoyed the pod, please leave a 5-star review on Apple. We'll be back again tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.